And
looking forward to it.
I just did like what I remember learning about.
Boy Scouts.
And Boy Scouts, yeah, and he spit out the piece of lasagna.
So Mr. Walsh saved his brother's life when he was in high school.
That's right, and I remember the feeling, like I felt really good saving my brother's life, and I remembered that, and then I learned you get paid to do that. So if you want to, has anyone saved someone's life or
helped somebody when they were sick?
And how did you feel afterwards? You felt good, right?
Yeah.
So you get to do that every day.
Does anybody else have any more questions? Mr. Walsh, it's time for a couple more questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Well,
Joseph. Rochelle.
how did you learn a career?
So I went to school to be an EMT, and then I went to school to be a paramedic. And then working for the fire department, we still get a lot of training because we deal with like terrorism, which are bombs. You have to learn how to deal with, like, if people get run over by a subway or by a car, drowning because we have the rivers around us.
Oh, you have to learn to save people
yeah.
in the water.
Go ahead.
Gas bombs?
Gas pumps?
Gas bombs.
Oh.
Gas bombs? Yes, gas bombs, but I haven't learned about that.
Hey, I have a question.
Oh, sure.
Appropriate questions.
What's the hardest thing in your job?
Oh, Bryce, I'm so glad you asked that. We talked about how that's a really good question.
The hardest
Notice
thing.
our chart of good questions.
Oh, the hardest thing. That's a good question. I think answering it would be the hardest thing.
The hardest thing about your job?
You know, like, I guess the hardest thing is people that die, like having to deal with
That's sad.
That's sad, and then with the families when they see that their family members died, or like a sick kid. That's always hard.
Yeah. That's a good question.
I actually have a question. You deal with different cases every time. So, do some cases traumatize you or make you stronger and better at your job?
Oh.
Again, it would be like
Kanisha.
like sick kids. Those are always the hardest. I usually every day I have someone that dies on me. Like I have a death a day usually.
Wow.
So you get used to it, but it helps you talk to the family better. Because I'm sure someone's had someone in their family that's died. And it's always sad, right? So go ahead.
Well, what's your favorite thing about your career?
Oh, your favorite
My
thing?
favorite
That's
thing
a good question.
Is driving with my lights on and going through red lights. And my siren on. And of course, when you guys are in your car, you tell your parents to move over, right? To get out of the way. Or you're in the cab, you
It's
tell
the
them to get out
law.
of the way.
You have to get over.
But people don't do it.
Dad, can I tell you one of the ways you helped a kid?
What?
One time my dad, he saved a girl at school. She fell off her chair and she hit her head, and she was the same size that I was.
Oh.
So my dad took him to the hospital and she felt better.
Oh, that's a good.
That's a good lesson too about sitting in your chair properly, I bet.
That's right. What are other?
Anybody else have a question for Mr. Walsh? Probably like, what, 5 more minutes?
Sure,
Kanisha.
go ahead, Dan.
Oh, sorry.
Where did you go to college?
Oh, where did I go to college? I actually went to college in Rochester, and I have a degree in animation. So I worked on movies and cartoons for about 10 years before I joined the fire department. I worked on a show called Law and Order Special Victims Unit. Have you guys ever heard of that? And Law and Order, the original Law and Order.
I see the connection now.
Yeah.
I'm sure they should not know that.
Can you see the question?
Why do you pick this?
Why?
Mr. Walsh explained why he picked that job.
Yeah, it comes
Who
back
was being a good listener? Who was being a good listener and can explain why did Mr. Walsh pick this job? You remember, Camilla?
Because he likes it.
Why did he like it though? Well, why did he pick it?
Who did I save?
Jaden, who did he?
A girl?
No, my brother.
Yay, brother.
That's right.
He saved his brother. When did he save his brother? Who was listening? Jira?
In high school.
When he was in high school.
right,
Good
yeah.
listening. That's why he chose that job. Very good. We have time for maybe like one more question.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh, for coming.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
of course.